Once upon a time, in a cozy cottage at the edge of a green forest, there lived 3 little pigs with their mother. Their home was small, but filled with love, where they spent their days helping their mother with chores and playing in the garden. The youngest pig had bright pink cheeks and always wore a red bow tie. He loved to dance and sing while doing his tasks. The middle pig, slightly taller than his younger brother, wore a blue scarf and enjoyed playing games more than working. The oldest pig was the most serious of the 3, wearing round glasses and a brown vest, always thinking carefully before doing anything. One morning, as the sun streamed through their kitchen window, Mother Pig called her children to the table. She served them a special breakfast of warm porridge with honey, their favorite meal. The 3 little pigs knew something important was about to happen because their mother only made honey porridge on special occasions.
Você já parou para pensar que enquanto escuta essa história poderia estar entendendo cada palavra em inglês de forma natural, sem precisar ir ficar lendo essa legenda que está na tela? Isso não acontece com você pelo simples motivo de que você não recebe feedback diário e nem pratica seu inglês. Por esse motivo, nós criamos o CAS, um super professor de inglês de inteligência artificial que você usa no seu próprio WhatsApp. Mas ele não é uma simples IA, é um super professor particular que você tem acesso 24 horas por dia, onde ele te ensina, corrige seus erros e ainda simula conversas reais por áudio e texto, e ainda se adapta ao seu ritmo. Tudo isso sem sair do app que você já usa o tempo todo. E tem mais, essa IA foi treinada com cérebros de professores renomados, então você vai aprender com a melhor didática possível. Então se você já tentou de tudo e ainda não viu resultados, o CAS vai ser a virada de chave que você precisa. O link está na descrição.
My dear children, Mother Pig said softly, stirring her own bowl of porridge, I have watched you grow from tiny piglets into young pigs. You have learned many things living here with me. How to cook, how to clean, and how to take care of a home. Now, you are old enough to build your own houses and start your own lives. The 3 little pigs looked at each other with mixed feelings of excitement and nervousness. The youngest pig nearly spilled his porridge as he bounced in his chair, already imagining his own house. The middle pig smiled widely, thinking about having his own space to play games. The oldest pig adjusted his glasses and listened carefully to their mother's words. Remember, my children, Mother Pig continued, reaching into her apron pocket. Building a house is a big responsibility. Each of you must choose your materials wisely and work hard. She gave each of them a small bag of coins to help them start their new lives. The next morning, with the sun barely peeking over the horizon, the 3 little pigs stood at their front door with small packs of belongings. Their mother hugged each one tightly, giving them final pieces of advice. Be careful, be wise, and most importantly, build strong houses to keep yourselves safe. The youngest pig could hardly contain his excitement and started skipping down the path. The middle pig waved goodbye cheerfully and followed his brother. The oldest pig gave his mother one last hug, promised to be careful, and joined his siblings. As they walked down the path together, their mother watched them go, hoping they would remember everything she had taught them. The first little pig walked along the country road, looking for materials to build his house. The sun was bright in the sky, and he was excited to start his new life. After walking for a while, he saw a farmer working in his field. The farmer had big piles of yellow straw everywhere. Good morning, Mr. Farmer, said the first little pig politely. I want to build a house. Could I have some of your straw, please? The farmer looked at the little pig and smiled. Building a house, are you? Well, straw isn't very strong, but it's quick to build with. Here you are. Take as much as you need. The first little pig was very happy. He picked up the straw and found a nice spot near a big apple tree to build his house. He worked fast, putting the straw together, making walls and a roof. He didn't worry about making the walls thick or strong. By sunset, his house was finished. Look how fast I built my house, he said proudly, looking at his new home. It's perfect. The walls are up. I have a roof over my head, And I even made a little door. Now I can spend all my time playing and dancing." The little pig went inside his new straw house. He put his few belongings in a corner: a small bed, a wooden table, and his favorite toy ball. He was feeling very proud of himself for building a house all on his own. But what the little pig didn't know was that a big bad wolf had been watching him from behind some bushes. This wolf had a very empty stomach and a very bad temper. He watched as the little pig went about arranging his new home, getting ready to make his move. The wolf waited until he saw smoke coming from the little pig's chimney, which meant the pig was cooking his dinner inside. Slowly and quietly, the wolf crept closer to the straw house, his mouth watering at the thought of a delicious pig dinner. The second little pig, wearing his blue scarf, had walked farther into the forest, where tall trees grew everywhere. As he walked along a winding path, he came across a woodcutter who was stacking freshly cut wooden planks into neat piles. The woodcutter was a strong beaver, with a thick mustache and wearing a plaid shirt. He was carefully examining each piece of wood before adding it to the stacks. The little pig watched him work for a moment, thinking that wood would make a much better house than his brother's straw home. "Excuse me, Mr. Woodcutter," the second little pig said, holding up his small bag of coins. "I would like to buy some wood to build my house. Your planks look very nice and strong." The woodcutter smiled and wiped his forehead with a handkerchief. "Of course, young pig. Wood makes a fine house. It's stronger than straw, that's for sure. Here, let me help you choose the best pieces." Together, they selected several wooden planks. The woodcutter even offered to help cut the wood into the right sizes for walls and a roof. The second little pig was pleased. This would make his work much easier than he expected. In a clearing not far from the woodcutter's area, the second little pig began building his house. He hammered nails into the wooden planks, making walls that stood much straighter than his brother's straw walls. He added windows with glass panes and built a proper wooden door with a handle. "This is much better than a straw house," he said proudly, looking at his work. "My house will never blow down like my brother's surely will." He spent 2 days building his house, which was longer than his younger brother had spent, but still not as much time as he probably should have taken. Inside his wooden house, the second little pig arranged his furniture. He set up a comfortable chair by the window, placed his collection of games on a shelf, and hung his blue scarf on a hook by the door. He was just about to start cooking his dinner when he heard a frightening sound. "Help! Help! Let me in, brother!" It was the voice of his younger brother, running as fast as his little legs could carry him. Behind him, getting closer and closer, was the big bad wolf, his fur bristling with anger after failing to catch the first little pig. The second little pig quickly opened his wooden door, and his brother rushed inside. They locked the door just as the wolf reached the front step of the wooden house, his yellow eyes gleaming with hunger as he looked at the 2 little pigs through the window. Meanwhile, the oldest pig had traveled to the town center, where he found a builder's shop run by an old bull with years of experience. The shop was filled with different building materials: stones, cement, and stacks of solid red bricks. The oldest pig, still wearing his round glasses and brown vest, carefully inspected the materials. He remembered his mother's words about building a strong house. "Excuse me, sir," he said to the bull. "I need the best materials to build a house that will last for many years." The old bull nodded approvingly at the pig's careful consideration. "Young man, these bricks are the strongest material I have. They're more expensive than wood or straw, and they'll take longer to build with, but they'll give you a house that will stand forever." The oldest pig didn't hesitate. He spent most of his coins on bricks, cement, and proper building tools. He also bought a book about house building and spent an entire evening studying it. He knew that taking time to learn and plan would make his house better. He chose a perfect spot on a small hill and began his work. First, he laid a solid foundation, something his brothers hadn't even thought about. Then, He carefully placed each brick, making sure they were straight and level. He mixed the cement properly and used just the right amount between each brick. Day after day, he worked steadily. He built thick walls with proper support beams. He installed strong windows and a heavy wooden door with a solid iron lock. He constructed a sturdy chimney using special heat-resistant bricks. Inside, he added wooden floors and plastered the walls to keep out the cold. After a week of hard work, his house was finally complete. It had 2 bedrooms, a cozy kitchen, and a living room with a fireplace. The oldest pig was tired but very proud of his work. He had just finished arranging his books on a shelf when he heard desperate screaming outside. "Brother, please let us in quickly." His 2 brothers were running toward his brick house, their faces filled with fear. Behind them, getting closer and closer, was the big bad wolf, who looked angrier than ever. After failing to catch the pigs at both the straw and wooden houses, without hesitation, the oldest pig opened his strong door. His brothers rushed inside, panting and shaking. He quickly closed and locked the door just as the wolf reached the front of his brick house. The big bad wolf circled the brick house, studying it carefully. This house was different from the others. It was solid, strong, and well built, but the wolf wasn't going to give up easily. Not when 3 little pigs were inside. "Little pigs! Little pigs! Let me in!" the wolf called in his most threatening voice. The 3 brothers, huddled together in the living room, stayed quiet. The oldest pig put his finger to his lips, signaling his brothers to remain silent. "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down," the wolf shouted. He took the biggest breath he had ever taken. His chest swelled up like a balloon. Then he blew with all his might at the brick house. But the house didn't move at all. The wolf tried again and again. He huffed and puffed until his face turned red, but the brick walls stood firm. The youngest pig, who had been so proud of his straw house, now understood why his older brother had worked so hard. Getting angrier by the minute, the wolf walked around the house looking for another way in. Then he saw it. The chimney. A wicked smile spread across his face as he began to climb the side of the house. Inside, the oldest pig heard the wolf's footsteps on the roof. He quickly whispered to his brothers, "Quick, help me build a fire in the fireplace and hang this big pot of water over it." His brothers rushed to help, finally working together as a team. The wolf, feeling very clever, began to squeeze down the chimney. "I'll surprise them," he thought to himself. "They won't expect me to come down their chimney." As he wiggled his way down, he started to smell something that worried him. Smoke. Just as the wolf came down the last few feet of the chimney, he looked down and saw what was waiting for him, a large pot of boiling water. But it was too late to climb back up. Splash! The wolf fell right into the pot of hot water. With a horrible howl, he shot back up the chimney like a rocket. His tail burned, and his pride hurt even more. The 3 little pigs watched from the window as the wolf ran away into the forest, howling and holding his burned tail. They never saw him again in that part of the woods. The youngest pig, still wearing his red bow tie, turned to his older brothers with tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry I didn't listen to Mother's advice," he said. "My house was too weak because I was in such a hurry to play." The middle pig, adjusting his blue scarf, nodded in agreement. "My wooden house wasn't much better. I should have worked harder like our older brother." The oldest pig smiled at his brothers and adjusted his glasses. "What matters is that we're all safe now. You can both stay here with me until you build better houses. I'll help you, and this time, we'll do it properly." Over the next few weeks, the 3 brothers worked together. They built 2 more brick houses, right next to the first one. The youngest pig learned to take his time laying bricks, and the middle pig discovered that work could be enjoyable when done with family. They created a beautiful garden between their 3 houses, where they could all gather to play games and have meals together. Every Sunday, they invited their mother over for dinner. She was so proud to see how her children had grown and learned from their mistakes. Remember, Mother Pig would say during her visits, looking at her 3 sons with pride, "It's not just about having a strong house. It's about working hard, helping each other, and never giving up when things get difficult." The 3 little pigs lived happily in their brick houses for many years. The youngest pig still loved to dance and sing, but now he did his work first. The middle pig enjoyed his games even more because he knew his house was safe, and the oldest pig was happy to have his family close by, all of them safe and sound in their well-built homes.
Se você gostou desse vídeo, não se esqueça de se inscrever no canal e também dá uma conferida lá no cast que tá aqui na descrição desse vídeo para você aprender inglês mais rápido. Até a próxima!